Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we discuss the film Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, one double meaning at a time. My name is Tom Taylor.
And my name is Pete Mummer.
I'm Gerald Christopher Returno Porter.
And over here we have the returnoing Steve Kreuch. Welcome back, Steve.
I am so happy to return here.
I'm glad.
Yes.
We've just been sitting around in this dumb cell for 2 days now, staring at each other, drawing stuff on the walls, putting mustaches on skulls. And now we're all ready to talk about minute 44, which begins with Mutt saying return and ends with Indy smiling about something.
Steve, as our esteemed guest, I have a question for you. Can you pronounce the word S-K-U-L-L?
You mean skull?
Yes, skull.
Which is the
Pete,
dumbest thing
you
it's just the dumbest thing that Shia says in this entire movie. The only thing in this room is the word return and skulls.
The only thing he's talking about is a skull.
Did you guys notice how he says it? He goes, it's like skull. He goes,
We're like school bandits.
Skull.
He just goes skull. It's almost like one of those speech impediments.
Skull
like
sucks.
Around that word, skull.
Skull.
I mean, Shia's dad was a biker. You'd think he'd know how to say the word skull.
Yeah. If any guy in this movie knows how to say skull,
It's the guy's dad used to bust him. So how long was Ox in there? I mean, I don't know. I just look at, and I can't imagine how long all these carvings would take, and with whatever he smuggled in his prison purse.
I feel like Indy said in like previous minutes that Oxley showed up in town around like 2 months ago. I think I'm not sure that's right. I'll get letters, but and that he was brought here,
right.
and then and then a couple weeks ago, some men with guns came and took him away.
So I give him
That's why he's
about
not there anymore.
Maybe
3
a month
weeks
and a half.
to a month.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
So if that's true,
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, what's so weird is in this entire minute, is Oxley sending a message to Indiana Jones here?
I don't. I was gonna say I don't think so, but
Well, that's why I was saying
this-
if he is, Indy misses it because I don't think he can
yeah.
take that use of the return.
Like, what is happening? Is this actually?
That is a larger question about this movie.
Yes.
What gives?
Is this actually Oxley needs to pacify his obsessive brain like Van Gogh,
Yeah.
and he's engraving skulls and trying to solve some riddle for himself
I
on
think that's
the
it.
sanitarium
I think so.
walls?
Yes, he's
Yeah.
trying to work through.
But
some
then we have this whole problem with, the missive that he sends to Indiana Jones, or that he sends to Marion to get,
shit. That was to get Indy to there, right?
But it seems like when he wrote that letter, he must have been in pretty good mental health because that letter is pretty intricate and makes a lot of sense. Whereas in this is just scrawling random, like the same word over and over.
Yeah, and who knows when that letter was sent, because that letter had to get from wherever he was to Marion across the sea, probably, and then from Marion to Mutt? No.
Wait, I thought Marion.
That's kind of it.
No, I thought Marion escaped from the Russians. She was in Peru too and escaped.
Yeah.
And then he mailed her a letter in Peru.
Yeah.
And then she mailed that letter to Mutt back in Chicago.
But do we actually know that the riddle and the runes and everything that Oxley wrote out, do we know that was intended for Indy? to decipher, or was it just something that only Indy would be able to decipher?
That's the question. That's what I'm
Okay.
asking. So I'll make it super simple. Steve,
Please.
are these carvings on the wall and on the floor, yes or no? Are they clues?
Don't try to weasel out of this, Steve. Yes or no?
No. No, I think they are him trying to figure some stuff out. This is
Okay.
I don't believe that this place is a map room. Even though
Right,
it kind of
right.
is.
But then, kudos to our hero Indy for being able to use the mad ravings of a guy and figure something out. Although how he does it, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So, but the letter was clues.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if you're writing a riddle, that's, you're doing that as a clue, I think.
Yeah. A
Mhm.
coded call for help.
Right.
So Oxley thought that Indy would just go directly to Oriana's cradle grave.
That's what I was saying like last week or something. Like, why are they even looking for Oxley? Because he gave him a riddle that's supposed to point him to Oriana's
Oh, he's
cradle.
looking for him because he's his friend. And
I
he's in
guess
so.
trouble. That's
Yeah.
why. That's the only reason
So,
he's
but-
looking for him.
So
Yeah.
Oxley never intended anyone to come to his cell.
No, I
in
think
the
he did.
sanatorium.
I think
be
we
so
learned later in
embarrassed.
this minute that he did.
Oh, you do
Oh,
think
Pete,
so?
you think he did. So, Pete, let me ask you. Don't try and weasel out of it. Are these clues?
I don't think the wall things are clues, but I think the floor
No.
thing is a clue. But the floor thing's stupid, and we'll get to that.
It's really stupid.
Okay, but then, Pete, then why? So he did expect for Indy to come there somehow.
I guess. Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know.
That's not part of
I
the
don't-
riddle, though. There wasn't
I
any
don't know.
rhyming little thing about the man in the hat, and he finds
Yeah.
the cat, and he. Yeah.
I don't know.
Does he eat green eggs and ham?
He does. Um,
When Indy runs out and grabs the broom next to his sister, do you think he's mad that she didn't do cleaning at home? Like, do you think
yeah,
he's
this
like,
place is sick.
she doesn't clean up
Well-
here either?
But yeah, for a place that's really filthy, they certainly have a broom close by.
You're a woman of God. Can you just keep this place a little tidy?
Jesus Christ,
Well,
sister.
that's why Indy had to learn to clean from a young age after she left.
Do you think that's a penguin from
From
Blues
the
Brothers?
Oh, easily, yeah.
Oh, Steve doesn't know Jerry's beautiful theory.
which is
Beautiful theory.
That the sister is Jerry is actually she's not a nun.
The sister is
she's a nun,
Jerry.
but she's the sister is Indy's actual sister.
Sure.
God.
And on the way in, he's like, sister?
Show exhausts me sometimes.
Yeah.
But Indy grabs that broom and it looks like he sweeps away a pattern that's in the dirt.
Yes. You're
Wow.
right.
But then I'm like, is he doing that on purpose? Does he still not trust Mutt? And he sweeps that away so that he can get the treasure for himself.
That's amazing,
Yeah.
Pete.
Makes a
No, I
mental
think it's
note.
exactly as we said. Their plane landed all over the Nazca lines.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what he's doing here.
Yeah.
And how did Ox know what the place looked like from overhead? I've lived in the same neighborhood for 2 years and couldn't draw it.
That's a good point.
Well, another thing, those aren't scratchings in the floor. Those are paving stones. So the only way that he could have made that is if he pulled up the entire floor and retiled it.
Well, you had been in there a couple months, Pete.
Also, I don't know how you would ever like Indy's, as far as we know, never been to Nazca. He's not an expert in this area, and he looks at this like a circle of squares on the floor, and somehow, based solely on this, he's able to determine exactly where that cemetery is, even though it's
Right.
not a
Or
map.
even that's a cemetery.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. I have a theory that I think you're going to really like, Pete. If you look at it, if you look at what's down there, it looks the carvings on the floor. They look a little bit like
not carvings.
The-
by the way.
what are they? The etchings. The
No, it's like,
What are
It looks
they?
like tile. It looks like the floors. It's just like the floor tiles.
it does kind of look like the floor tiles, but the drawing actually looks like the drawing on the chalkboard in Raiders
was
of the
gonna say.
Turkdene Barrow.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna come up tomorrow.
That's true.
Yeah, maybe that's what.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why Indy thinks it's a cemetery. He's
Yeah.
like, I've seen one of these once, Michelson chapters 4
Yeah.
and 5
Yeah.
in
Yes,
1936.
And we've been waiting since 1982 to see a barrow, so maybe we're finally going to get to see what a barrow looks
Oh,
like.
maybe.
Yeah, that's
Or maybe
true.
not. We'll have to see.
Well, I have a question from even before all this, before the sweeping and everything, and even before even grabbing the broom. Mutt says, like, oh, return the skull, return it to where? And Indy immediately goes for the broom. Like, where did he get the inspiration that maybe under this layer of dust, there's the final clue on
Because
the
hadn't
floor?
they talked previously about the Nazca lines and how only God could see them? So,
Yeah,
right?
but really?
Well, it's
So
the only thing
that's-
that makes sense. Come on, Tom. It makes total sense.
You're right, Steve. I'm sorry.
But it looks like there was a pattern on the floor in the dirt. And
Yeah,
I think
totally.
Indy grabbed the broom so that Mutt wouldn't see it. Like, I think he did it to call attention away from what he sees.
Oxley was drawing naked ladies in the dirt. He didn't want the kid to see, or the nun.
Cover your eyes,
know-
son.
Yeah, he knows he's
Naked
his
man.
son. Well, this is basically, don't you get it? 3,
Yeah.
7,
Yeah.
cemetery.
Sweep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it is. I mean, it's like right out of Last Crusade.
Because
you're
he's
like,
not supposed
what
to
did you
need any
see?
of this. Like Oxley's riddle was supposedly like the Nazca lines lead to
Right.
Oriana's cradle or whatever. So that was
Mhm.
supposed to be all he needed to know. So this floor thing is not only improbable but distracting and dumb.
Is Temple of Doom the only indie movie that without a major clue being on the ground? There's the map room in Raiders.
Hmm.
There's the giant X in Last Crusade,
Yeah.
and there's this.
Well, they have the clue on the wall, but I guess it's not on the ground.
Yeah.
On the
It's-
wall
right,
behind
yeah.
the boob statue.
That's right.
Yeah. The clue he has is that little tapestry
Yeah.
patch
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
in Temple of Doom.
But it's not on the floor. That's true.
Yeah.
Wow, good call.
Yeah.
That's why Temple of Doom is the best one.
Temple of Doom's a good movie. You guys can hate all you want.
No. I've reset. I like Temple of Doom again. I just don't want to do it minute by minute again.
With Indy perched up high in the cell, it does kind of have a like, oh, Indiana Jones is one of the gods. Peering down, he can see all. Yeah, it's a good call.
That was the whole thing about like only a god could see it, so you'd have to be up high.
Yeah.
But see, if you believe that, then this is a clue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I stopped at that at the Nazca lines. You're like, oh, he's only talking about the Nazca lines, and then they get to Nazca Peru, and then you're like, I guess you start going door to door. Any of you guys know where Oriana's cradle is?
Yeah.
Because he says that part about the Nazca lines, but then he says, and you go to Oriana's cradle.
You kind of
Right.
realize that the Nazca line thing is really just thrown in so they can mention the Nazca lines.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like it really
Yeah.
actually, like
Yeah.
even if he did like not come here and just follow the riddle, like that's not going to help him find Oriana's cradle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of brings up a little bit of that alien thing with archaeology. The Nazca lines, seen from above and like, oh, maybe
Right.
extraterrestrials help build them or whatever.
But we do get
Yeah.
one clue in this. And it's another clue that this movie is lazy and racist. Is
You don't say.
why does it matter that cradle might have another meaning in Mayan? Like Mayan is a
Oh.
language from central Mexico.
Because
And again,
because Ox was a very big fan of the DMX movie vehicle Cradle to Grave. It's obvious.
now that you put it that way,
Well,
I retract my comment.
and to that, how is Indy so fluent in so many languages suddenly?
Yeah.
Like he
Well, wait
couldn't
a
in past
minute.
movies.
Pete, I mean, that's a huge lazy bell.
Gunk.
Mayan, yeah,
Ring.
but I can't. It doesn't even make the lazy bell makes no sound because you can't have your
Yeah.
fat ass to hit the bell. Why the
So-
hell is it Mayan? They're
Yeah,
in
it's gonna
Peru,
It's going to get a lot louder next minute too.
Yeah.
Or I guess a lot more.
and
quiet.
he even says like, "What is it, Quechuan?" Right? Doesn't he? He even brings
It's not
that
Quechua.
up.
It's the
Quechua.
No, he uses another. I don't
Szechuan?
remember what. Yeah, Szechuan.
Yeah.
He mentions another one that's like a Latin American language that's been dead for several thousand years, and he says he walks it through Mayan.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
walks it through. So did he just skip the little borrow my 2, carry my 1? Is that why
Well, no,
he
because
says
why
it's
why would the
Mayan?
Mayans the Mayans don't have anything to do with people in Peru?
Oh, well,
It's not-
isn't it actually just because if this is a clue intended for Indiana Jones, like Oxley
He
wrote
says,
it
"Oh, they
in a
both know Mayan."
language that only Indy would get because suddenly he's some language genius.
Maybe.
So, but wait, so Ox.
Because this is all just written by Oxley, this whole cradle
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, you're right. And Oxley was using a dead language, right?
But
Yeah.
he writes the clue in all kinds of living languages in here.
Man,
Whatever.
he's a little nuts, Pete. He's nuts.
Although I guess only Indy had the full clue that he's looking for a cradle.
So what
Yeah.
It's a dumb
finding
clue. This is a dumb
Orlena's
idea.
Ariana. All right,
Oriana.
grave.
Oriana
Yeah.
Grande.
Yes, grave been like of such massive importance. Just finding that alone, like
Well, yeah,
finding
because-
basically Coronado, like
Yeah.
wouldn't that be hugely amazing on its own?
It would be hugely amazing because Oriana died in the mouth of the Amazon in Brazil. So if Indy were able to prove that Oriana actually died way up here in the Andes in Peru, that would be like a bombshell. Like, again, this would make his archaeological career.
Right.
And he's like, next.
Right.
Yeah, didn't care.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's not Fortune and Glory. Sounds like a pain in the ass paper.
Yeah.
It's cool. Whatever.
Well, do you have anything else for 44?
Speaking of pain in the ass paper.
Oh. I think Jerry just called his sister a pain in the ass. That's so mean. I hope you didn't hear that.
Well, no, she's a professor. You know,
Okay.
she makes you write
might
those
know-
pain in the ass papers.
Yeah, okay.
This just in from Professor Christy Porter. What is the most famous grave in the world? Would Indiana
Elvis.
Jones rob it?
Elvis.
Yeah, maybe Elvis.
Yeah, Elvis.
Maybe the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Actually, okay. How about maybe? Well, I mean, Tutankhamun.
Stalin? Is Stalin?
Well, like Lenin's might be like Lenin's
or Lenin's tomb, yeah. Sorry, I was
mausoleum.
thinking-
Yeah.
Jim Morrison.
Quit Stalin, Lenin.
Actually, there's that one like Genghis Khan, right, which is
Yeah.
not yet found, and they said he never wanted to be like when he died. He never wanted to he didn't want any sort of marker or tombstone or anything like that, and so they said that the people who buried him were all killed.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want anyone to know. He didn't want anyone to know where he was buried. And I think there's like a whole National Geographic. There was like a mystical mountain that he used to go to and sort of meditate. Like when he had tough questions he had to answer. And I remember, it was on the Hardcore History, one of my favorite podcasts. And he would go to that mountain like on a Friday with the problem that he had to solve. And he'd come back on a Sunday and he'd be like, solved it. And they said that around there, I can't remember the name of the mountain, but it was a very spiritual place for him. They said, well, maybe Genghis Khan was buried around there. So, yeah, that one is yet to be discovered, but could be if you're kind of an Indiana
Grant's tomb?
Jones one.
Oh, Grant's Tomb.
Grant's tomb?
Alexander the Great is another biggie that hasn't been found.
Oh,
That one he didn't
yeah.
try to hide, though.
Well, then there's the big famous one that's on tour all the time, Tutankhamun.
Yeah.
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 Well, wait a minute. So Alexander the Great died in like India, right? Somewhere around there ish.
He was at a full moon rave in Goa.
Things got out of hand.
He was on the way back, wasn't he? Wasn't he?
I
like,
think
in
he was on the way
Persia?
back.
And
Yeah, I think
they
he was on the
carried
way
him. They brought his body to Egypt, because then they make the big mausoleum in Alexandria, And then it
And then
got
they-
lost. They got
And then they
lost.
lost it. Carried them all the way back from India.
Well, we're not going to get to the bottom of Alexander the Great's grave's whereabouts today, but maybe on Friday. You should all come back on Friday and see if we found Alexander the Great's grave. Steve, that means you too. You should come back on Friday.
I suppose.
It's going to be fun. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
We're going to tackle minute 45 then. This coming Friday here on the Indiana Jones Minute of the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull Minute.
Minute.
with clues or etchings, tiles.
Mosaics?
Carvings.
There you go. Yeah.
No, engravings.
Copper enamel?
Engravings. Yeah, engravings.
What were those things that you used to do in elementary school where you'd have to like carve out the vinyl floor tile into a... Everyone would
yeah.
cut themselves on
yeah.
those things, and then you'd make prints with them?
Yeah, you make like a
Yeah.
wood block or a tile block.
Yeah. That was
I think that's what
dangerous.
Oxley did.
Yeah. That was good.
I think they were trying to kill us.
I think we did needlepoint that week.
I could see that with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that tracks.